All right, good afternoon, ARB. We are live on channel 22. We're streaming to YouTube. The phone lines are not open for this meeting. The meeting is being recorded. You may begin.
Thank you very much, Matt. Welcome to the February 12th, 2026 meeting of the Architects Review Board of the Town of East Hampton. We welcome Clara Schiavone to my left back after her maternity leave. We have 10 applications before us this afternoon. As of today, we have no complete applications in the pipeline for our next meeting, which would be February 26th. Therefore, we are canceling the February 26th meeting, and we'll pick up again in March. The seventh item on today's agenda, 472 Further Lane, could be seen as a conflict for Clara, whose firm did some work on this location, so she will recuse herself when we get to that application. Yeah. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of our last meeting, which is January 22nd?
So moved.
Frank, second?
Second.
Diane, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimously passed. First item of business tonight is business signs. This Quackenbush cesspools, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-145-3-8.1. This is 228 Springs Fireplace Road. Because it's right next to the next application, we're going to look at them together, which is Mark Daniels Tree Service, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-145-3-10.1, and that's at 224 Springs Fireplace Road. Clara, this is yours.
Thank you. So this application is before the board today for approval of two new business signs located in the industrial zone at 228 and 224 Spring Fireplace Road. The two separate lots primarily function as the storage yards for vehicles and equipment. Access to the storage area is provided directly from the Spring Fireplace Road through the East Hampton Highway Department entrance. I think I have a second picture there that shows the entrance. The applicant is seeking approval to install both business signs at the northwest corner of the property, right here at the corner, where they will be clearly visible from the main road. Well, if you can please take, this is the entrance area so from the Spring Fireplace Road. If you can take a picture of the proposed signs. Thank you. So here you'll be able to see both signs next to each other. So the first sign will be the Quackenbush cesspool sign, which is proposed to be consist of 6x6 painted post, I believe painted white, 90 inches in height, supporting a 60 by 36 inch double-sided round sign. The sign features the company logo, which is red background with the black and white lettering. You can see it right here. And the next sign will be for Mark Daniels Tree Services, which is the same 6x6, but natural pressure treated lumber post, same height. And the sign will be again double-sided round, 60 by 36, with the logo, which is in this case black with a red and white lettering. Do we have anybody here to speak on behalf?
Yeah, how you doing?
I will. I don't know if I missed anything.
What's that?
I'm not sure if I missed anything or if you want anything.
No, that's about it. Both sides are going to be kind of spread, along the front of the property there. This is two separate parcels. So they're kind of centered on each parcel separate, just not going to be both on the corner.
Okay, and one of them is going to be painted white, the post, and one of them is staying this natural wood, or?
Yeah, the idea is to try to differentiate them as two different businesses as much as we can, being that they're going to be on the same stretch right there.
Right. I don't know if anybody has
Any lighting?
No lighting.
Mark Daniels sign hard to see, or is it just this slide?
It's just the rendering there, yeah.
Okay.
And we did single post just because of the grade of the property there.
Goes up.
It's so steep that if it was two posts, it would look kind of strange.
So these are on Springs Fireplace, they're on the side street?
So these are on Springs Fireplace.
They're on like the corner.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay. Any comments?
Looks straightforward. Yeah, nice.
Okay.
Okay, so I would like to make a motion to approve the both of the applications as presented.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. So passed. We'll stay up because you're.
Yep.
Next item, is Mike DeSuno and Son, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 300-127-1-19. This is 128 Fresh Pond Road in Amagansett, and this is mine. So this is an application to approve an existing sign on a 9.8 acre industrial site where heavy machinery, dirt, and related landscape products are kept. The one-sided sign that you see in the photo is existing. It measures 66 by 43 or 19 and a half square feet. Normally, we would approve this sign as it's less than the 32 square feet given by the code in a business district. However, after a little bit of research this morning by Alex, our lawyer, this property is in a residential district, not in a business district, where the maximum sign size is 12 square feet. So we can't approve this sign as it is. It needs to be cut down or reconfigured so it's no more than 12 square feet, and then it would be conforming to a business sign in a residential district.
Got it.
It was a surprise to us, but
Yeah.
Alex had a sense something was off, and she researched it. So,
Okay.
otherwise, it's a very nice sign. Okay, so you'll come back to us with.
Yeah, I'll revise it, and
Okay.
the framing's okay. We had to do that just because of that rock there.
Yeah, no, it's actually good. It keeps someone from backing into it,
Right.
but yeah, it needs to be like 3x4 or 2x6 or whatever you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. Thanks, Will.
Great, thanks.
Moving right along, change to commercial. This is the Surf Club, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 300-49-6-21, 20 Surfside Avenue in Montauk. Dan, this is yours.
Yes, this is about the Surf Club, which I think is familiar. A site plan application has been submitted to expand and partially renovate 4 of the motel units. And I think it's 4 out of 92. And they are actually, and what they are improving is exact duplicates of already approved additions to various buildings or sections at the Surf Club. So it is, it's to expand and partially renovate 4 units. They've been very, very proper and given us very, very complete renderings of things basically that we've already seen. They are enclosing the atriums on 3 of them, and on the 4th, they are adding a 2-story new build. But the entire total square feet of the entire improvement is only 277 square feet. So it is a minor, and it is a duplicate of things that we have already approved. So I think it's, we appreciate their thorough application. And unless anybody has any questions, I think that it's an easy approval.
Good, Frank? No comments.
Yeah, this is the same that we've.
This is over and over again,
Yeah.
filling in this little hallway.
Yeah.
Right.
So, so I would like to make a motion to approve this application as presented.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Frank? Aye. So passed. Now moving on to fences, walls, gates, and berms. This is Suffolk County Tax Map Number 300-133-1-41. This is 127 Six-Pole Highway in Wainscott. Chris, this is yours.
All right, Aisha is joining us on Zoom. She's being
great.
admitted now.
Okay, this property is off Merchants Path, which is off 114 up by Swamp Road, and it's surrounded by naturally wooded forest land. What they've got here is a very deep property which is left wooded in the back, and they've fenced in under 50% of the front part of the property with 8-foot deer fencing with 4x4 posts, and they've put a gate in at the driveway. This is actually a gate and the pedestrian gate to the right of it in as built, and the call box in front. So this was This was taken a few days ago with the gates open. Unfortunately, I don't have a photograph of the gates shut, but there's some other detail shots we can take a look at to see what this looks like, and also the
Chris,
the drawing.
If
Yes.
I may interrupt, Aisha is actually not able to hear anything.
I'm sorry. You're gonna have to identify yourself just for the record.
Pardon me. Ali Faruqi, I'm the owner resident, and Aisha is my wife, who was waiting on Zoom. Is she muted because she's not able to hear anybody?
Okay.
Will?
Oh, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, I apologize. I thought I was on mute.
I apologize.
Okay.
Please continue.
So the application before us consists of this driveway gate and the pedestrian gate next to it, as well as the 8-foot fencing along the front, which is concealed behind a row of Leyland cypress we saw in that first photograph. So what we need to do is take a look. If you want to show the site plan, that's probably the best way to illustrate what that whole back area is wooded, and the deer fencing. What they've done is to try to prevent the deer, which are plentiful out in the woods out there, from entering the property with this 8-foot surrounding fence, and then the gate, which goes from let's see, I measured about 64 to 67.5 inches above grade at the low point to about 74 to 78 inches at the high point. And that was when it was open. The leaves were open, so it was measured from grade at the over the driveway, not in the closed position. So you can see the line of the fencing, the posts, and the tree line in front of that on the street front. So the fence being 8 foot tall is here before us, as well as the gate. If we could take a look at the drawing of the gate, Will. This was what was submitted. It's not exactly as built because the posts of the gate are shown here as black metal posts, and if we look at the photo again, they're white pillars with lanterns on top of them. So it was built a little differently, and lights were added. But what we don't have in the drawings, we have the dimensions of the gates, but we don't have them relative to the ground, which is the way that the code is asking us to measure the heights. So I did my best with the open gate to show the heights there, but as I said, the gates at the low point of the arc, that's the high point, goes up to 77, 78 inches on the vertical, and then about 74 on the arced part, 63, 64 at the low part of the arc, up to about 67 or 68 on that vertical strut. So let me preface this, the general discussion about it by saying, first of all, there's one detail that is not going to allow us to give approval of this no matter what, which is that the call box is not on your property. The call box outside the gate has to be on your property, because otherwise it's in public property. The survey just shows it. We wouldn't know that standing out there, but the survey shows that just outside so it's not actually on your property, which is unfortunate. There you go. You can see it. So that has to be moved and recorded as being on your property with a survey update. So that's an unfortunate detail, but it's just part of the reality of the situation. So I met with the homeowner who's before us here, coming out here, and who's describing his distress over the deer population eating away all their vegetation, all the plants and things in their yard, as well as being concerned about tick-borne diseases and things. So this is their solution. They've tried other things as well to try to keep the deer out, but this is where they are with this. So I don't know if I've missed anything. And
What is the height of the post and the lantern?
oh, you want to go back to that? Yeah. That's they're just about 6 feet, a little bit above, and then they go up to about the lanterns are up to about 7'4", 7'5", but those lanterns are another code issue is that exterior lights have to be dark sky compliant, which those are not. They're shining outward, so no matter what, those fixtures are not something that we could ever approve because it's just doesn't meet the code requirements. So.
For the height requirement.
Yeah, and the height requirements are, I mean, everything about this is before us now, with a request to approve, but yeah, we have to discuss that, but I just wanted to see if I'd missed anything in descriptions.
Yes, if I may. So the measurements are definitely correct. Chris took them and I remeasured. Also, they are in the plan. As far as our run-up to the decision to install the gates, I have to say that we've tried almost 13 to 14 months of measures. This is not the fence, neither was the gate in beforehand. We had a 4-foot fence in the front, and we had a 6-foot fence as in the code. We literally tried every measure in the book. This including ultrasonic alarms, height of the fence, deer scram, coyote piss, everything that I could get, including planting vegetation that deers do not find palatable. This is over 13 months, and we were practically overrun on a daily basis. We had deer poop in the area. Also, we have corridors on both sides, which allow the deer to go through easily, plus congregate in the back, which may be contributing to the fact that they were running over the fence every single day. Plus, they rammed through the fence, the 6-foot fence, on multiple different occasions. The contractors were on my speed dial. So one, there was the worry for lines, but also it was me at 1 a.m. in the morning trying to, run after the deer to get them out of the property. I'm not, understating it, but I think by one estimate, I think we lost close to about $30,000 worth of vegetation that we had planted. This was pretty much all of it. They ate everything except the green giants. Right down to the nubs. So while I can, we had to increase the height of the fence. This is practically the only measure that kept them out. Now to address a couple of the points that Chris raised, call box, I'm fairly sure is on our property. That we can discuss with the surveyor. I'm sure this is definitely our property as far as the call box is concerned. This is not on public property. As far as the height of the gate is concerned, this is something that we had to get on an emergency basis to keep the deer out. We were due for a rental of the house for a few weeks, and the liability was simply too much to have the deer be coming in, somebody be infected by lines, and it was just not working out. So I got this gate literally from Amazon, had it shipped as quickly as I could, and had it put in. And before that, every single night, we used to have a temporary fence that we could draw out. I did that because our initial designs were more, in keeping with cedar and other things that I wanted. Off a lower height, it would not work. They were simply just jumping over the height and coming in. As far as the lantern is concerned, happy to change that to something that the ARB would be happy with.
Well, I think the lantern is a no-go from the start because generally we don't approve gates over 6 feet. You're in an unusual situation, so I think we may think about a 6-foot gate, but the other board members have to weigh in. But nothing can be higher than 6 feet. So the posts with the lanterns cannot be higher than 6 feet. The gate cannot be higher than 6 feet. I think on the deer fence, we'll talk about it. With your call box, your surveyor certifies that this is what they found. So you can question your own surveyor, but generally surveyors are pretty correct. And when they draw something, they know what they're drawing. So that's a minor thing here. I think, this gate is not, it doesn't reflect the Hampton sort of tradition of, and I'm sure you know that. It looks, maybe something you'd see in Old Westbury on Long Island, more of a suburban sort of setting. To understand your situation, which we're, sympathetic to, I think if you wanted to keep this gate, and Chris and I talked about this, you need to push it way far back. We don't want to see it from the street. So you can run deer fencing along your driveway and set it back beyond 50 feet. And we'll talk about it, but that would probably be the most logical outcome from this, application tonight. And I want the other board members to
It
chime in.
stands at 34 feet right now away from the street.
Right. At 50 feet, you can have up to 6 feet, and we don't
50
care.
feet from the property line.
From the property line.
Not from the edge
Yeah.
of pavement.
So you'd have to, but if you're going to move it back, if it's 50 feet back from the property line, it wouldn't be so obvious for people driving by. It would not stand out like it does. It would be sympathetic to, the environment around it.
So, Chip, if I may, I was thinking about the height of the gate itself. And if 6 feet is what is required, I can talk to my metal guy, the welder. He can probably, there's some knobs which are protruding out to 6 inches above, which give it that particular height above grade. I can have it cut down. The intention was never to go above 6 feet. Unfortunately, it's just getting above the grade so it doesn't get obstructed by ice and gravel was the reason why it went above that. Obviously, the gate measured at 6 feet at the tallest. I can have the knobs and everything cut out. The alternative to move it 50 feet back would have to come with the fence moving 50 feet back,
Well, no, you could just run
and with it, the vegetation.
you could just run
You just pull it
parallel
back.
to your driveway. Just run the fence parallel to your driveway.
You just put, bring it back and then the fence, you don't have to move the whole yard.
Right.
The fence would flank both sides of the driveway and go back to the.
No, I see what you exactly mean. It would just have a very devastating impact on the landscaping and the entire vision that we had for the place.
It's there.
But the problem with your vision is it goes against the codes that we're, asked to enforce. So,
And everybody has the same problem.
But this is not a matter that I take lightly. I mean, we definitely do not want to go against the ARB on this. And we took pains to make sure that we were within code for that. I assure you that when we got this is out of sheer desperation.
right, but none of this is within code. So, I mean,
Okay.
you built it on your own because you were desperate to keep the deer out.
Correct.
So now, in a more thoughtful way, we're going to go back and look at what the situation is.
Right.
Someone else want to chime in?
No, I mean, I
Well-
agree with what you're saying. I think it's
I
pretty
mean,
straightforward.
everybody has the same problem, I mean, we live in a beautiful rural area,
Right.
and everybody is bothered by various things, mainly the deer. But the idea of having an 8-foot fence that fronts on the street, it's something that we definitely don't, even if it's covered by trees, trees are not permanent. I don't know. It's precedent. I don't know. What is the neighborhood like?
It's I mean, as you drive out there, you're driving through the woods.
Uh-huh.
And so you're seeing the native pines and
In,
oaks.
If I may, in all practicality, there is on Merchant's Path on our side, on Six-Ball Highway, coming off Merchant's Path on our side of the road, and the other side included, there's probably 8 houses altogether on that entire area. There is nobody driving in who's not a resident for that matter. And many houses, which I don't want to bring up, it's not necessary, they do have gates 6 feet plus. Now, I don't know whether those are approved, not approved, and I'm not going to get into that. or the matters with other neighbors. I respect them fully. But I would like to find a better solution to moving the gate back or the fence. We have covered it with trees. It's very much in keeping with the neighborhood. It's not standing out like a sore thumb.
Well,
You know-
go on, Dan.
I live right next door to the 24-acre nature trail, and I'm a gardener. So I don't know how we feel about this, but I have a 5-some-foot fence with a little wire. There's some poles and this discreet little wire, and it works. It really works. I mean, 98% of the time it works. I don't know. I
Chris,
think an 8-foot fence is,
Chris, what's your recommendation?
As I understand it in the code, we are allowed to approve up to 8 feet. I never remember the cheat sheet that Frank you did for all the requirements, and it gets. I should probably have it on my computer. I'm sorry.
In the rear.
Yeah, but in the front.
in the front.
That's what I was recalling. So I
to one and.
So
Okay.
I think it might make sense to, which means that you would have to do that transition to the 8 feet only behind the front yard setback line.
Okay, so the rule is for the front yard, up to 8 feet is not permitted. Unless you have some special like agricultural, like a farm, which you're not. So you're not allowed to in the front yard we can grant approval up to 6 feet, but we can't grant approval above 6 feet. We can't. However, if you move your fence back 50 feet, you're still not allowed, but we potentially could grant you approval up to 8 feet if it's at least 50 feet from the pavement, not your. I have pavement that would need to be confirmed, but
Would be, given that the green giants are eventually going to come up, and I do like your idea of running a thin wire on top, I can see us cutting down the front fence to 6 feet. That can be achieved, yes.
I mean, I have heard, I don't have a deer problem like you. I mean, they actually just sort of reside in my front yard.
Ridiculous.
But I have heard if you actually have a double line of fencing, it's the most effective way because they can see that they can't make
Yes.
the distance jump. So if you were to do something like,
They don't like to be caught in between where they can't get.
so if you did a 4 foot and a 6 foot, something like that, then that would presumably be like the gold standard, like a 4 foot wire fence and a 6 foot wire fence.
The green giants in the front have gained in girth and height in the last 1 year. So I'm hoping that should be enough to keep them at bay in the front side. That's why I think it's not unthinkable that if you were to cut down the fence back to 6 feet in the front, that should hold them back. I would be okay with that.
Well, it's the front, anything in front of the front facade of the house, not the front. It's anything in front of the front of your house, so it's quite a bit.
All along the sides and everything.
It's along the sides up to the front of your house. That's the front yard. So it can only be 6 feet, above 6 feet if it's in the front of the house. Behind the house, it's fine, 8 feet, but anywhere in the front yard, it can be 6 feet. So it's not along the road, it's the whole thing.
Yeah, your front yard is defined is not like how it's defined as what you're allowed in the front yard. It's like, it's not just on the street, it's what flanks it.
Right.
And then at some point it becomes your side yard.
Yeah.
So.
And just on the offside, I understand the ruling for, the code not being for the front side, but wouldn't this be considered under the exceptional circumstances or could be considered under exceptional circumstances?
What's exceptional about it?
Allows for the ARB to approve fences and walls up to 10 feet in height?
I've never heard that.
Well,
No, exceptional, that's exceptional, like if you had an adverse hardship where you
No,
could prove like there was something,
it
like
says
there's a
here
factory
within-
next to you, like there's a factory.
No, so it says here within the code that I was reading, exceptional circumstances related to high levels of ambient noise, light, or property damage from animals which cannot be abated by the landowner and from which protection is needed. Or of public interest considerations, fences and walls up to 10 feet in height may be authorized.
Well, I can say, I know you don't want to hear this, but the phrase of that is needed to me implies that there's like livestock or something in your property. I don't think that plantings meet the standard of whether it's needed, right, to protect your property. Like if there's a threat to like to safety and welfare of, occupants or livestock, I can understand that, but like plantings doesn't seem to meet the standard of it.
And I take that. I think we're.
May I just add,
Sure,
I mean,
sure.
wouldn't, apologies, but may I just add that the tick issue is quite large, and we spent 13 months trying to come up with deterrent strategies to keep the deer out. I mean, we multiple times we found on the backside of the house that the fence was broken, on sides as well. The fence was broken because the deer jumped over it. Now, in that process, the deer actually hurt themselves too, because they're, some of them are older and, too heavy to clear the fence, but they try to. So the concern, there is a health and safety concern to us with tick-borne disease, and especially with the number of sheer quantity of deers that are out there. We are surrounded by nature's preserves. There's one across the street. There's one behind us, and we're in the woods. There's not a lot of houses. There's not a lot of residential area. It's the woods.
Right.
I'm very concerned about the harm to my own health, my family's health, but it's also, when we raised, and this was to double the expense of it because we had already put in a 6-foot fence on the sides. It was done because we had renters coming in, and occasionally we will rent again. And the liability associated with that, and it's not just our own liability, it's their health as well. So there is a health concern.
right,
And
but
as you probably know,
but everyone in East Hampton
Everyone in East Hampton,
has
like,
the same health
Just
concerns.
because the deer, I'm not saying that it's a good thing to have deer on your property. Just because they're on your property doesn't mean you're going to get Lyme disease or a tick-borne illness. I mean, that would mean that golfers at the Maidstone Club are getting Lyme disease by playing golf with the deer. So I understand concerns about Lyme disease. Also letting you know, it's not just deer that carry them. It's all like little rodents which are on your property. It's, so I think the board needs to come up with, we need to move forward on this, right?
So here's my suggestion to you. Resolve the issue with your surveyor about the call box, because I've never heard of
We'll take care
a
of it.
surveyor not putting a call box in the proper spot on a survey. 2, we're not going to approve a gate above 6 feet. So I suggest you move the gate back and maybe you flank your driveway with 6-foot deer fence. And if you don't think the 6-foot deer fence is enough, put a second row of fencing right behind it, just in the front of the property. But, I understand what you did, but the gate, we're not happy about the gate the way it looks, but the easiest thing for you, if you want to keep the gate, is to move it back 50 feet. And then you can do what you want with it, put it
Up to 6 feet.
up to 6 feet.
Up to 6 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to look in the town code, it's section 255-11-38A, and also point 2, a fence, gate, pillar, or wall over 6 feet in high in any location. So you have a residential property in a yard bordering on a public street. If the fence, gate, pillar, post, or wall is to be located 50 feet or more from the edge of pavement, so it's not the property line, it's from the edge of pavement, such fence, gate, pillar, post could be up to 8 feet if it's it may be authorized. So we have the ability, if it's
Okay.
50 feet
So if you
back.
move it back 50 feet, we're likely to approve 8 feet on the gate. And then the fencing, you need to deal with it. I would suggest putting double fencing in because that's going to be your safest bet. But I mean, I want to be sympathetic to you and empathetic to you, but every meeting we have, the applicants are saying the same thing about the deer. So it's not an exceptional basis. It's everywhere in this town.
Well, I also want to clarify the owner when we say a couple things like, we can look at approving a gate up to 8 feet if it's 50 feet from, at least 50 feet from the pavement. It doesn't mean that we're going to be happy with that gate, right? So, I mean, what I would like to see would be something a little more open, a little more in keeping with like agricultural fencing. There's also the issue of the fencing itself. You're going to walk away today and say, okay, here are my options for the gate, but nonetheless, you are, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, you're out of conformance with your fencing we've got 8-foot fencing around the property, which is not approved. So what are we doing about this?
I suggest you run double fencing.
Okay.
That's probably the best idea.
Well, we can't design it for you, but I think you've read the code, so you know. If you want to come in and talk to Julie, she can clarify it. But I mean, I understand this was an emergency situation, but it just doesn't conform to anything we've been approving or looking at.
But with all due respect, conformity is one thing. I mean, I understand that this is within the discretion of the board to approve this, given the circumstances. And to me, that these are certainly exceptional for that matter.
Well,
We're not asking for something which is completely out of the code.
Well, there
This
are
is definitely within the code for up to 10 feet.
On a highly exceptional basis. In the 6 years I've been on the board, we approved that once. And it was for a European gate that was moved from here, for 18th century European gate that ended up very far down a flag lot driveway. And the question was to demolish the whole thing or let it. And we gave that person an exception. But that was exceptional. This is not exceptional. We hear this story every single meeting. So, I mean, you need to sort of conform to what the code is. We've given you some suggestions, but we're not going to design this for you. You need to go back and come back to us with what you want to do.
There is a section, again, 255-11-38, subsection C, paragraph 2 of the town code. Fences shall not exceed 8 feet in height when located in yards that do not front or border upon a public street, and et cetera, about where the 6 feet is the maximum. So you could parse through that code and come back to us with something that actually conforms to the code, and we can consider that.
And generally speaking, the board is more receptive to things that are sort of agricultural in looking in terms of fencing and the types of, what they are. You drive around
Especially in a rural area like this, wooded area.
In wooded areas. I think you know what that is. So the board is more amenable to accepting something like that.
May I just present the fact that, this is already in place. It's not, we're designing it and we have the option. We've spent significant amount of resources, money on, the height of the gate, of the fences. And so if we were to move the gate back by 50 feet from the pavement, maybe we just please ask you to just reconsider it without having to replace the gate, put in new fencing, which would be for the third time that we're doing something with the fencing. And it's big property, as you can see. It's a significant expense. And again, we're in a very rural area. I understand everyone is saying the same thing in East Hampton. Perhaps there's a reason for it because there is an actual issue. That's why everyone's saying the same thing. But other parts of East Hampton may or may not necessarily be this rural. This part is, on the higher of the rural end. So if we could just please request a reconsideration, we could move the gate by 50 feet, but not having to replace it.
I'm always concerned mostly with the public view, and the even though it's only a few neighbors, they're still driving by, and that feeling of driving through the woods. To the extent that you could let native plantings be in front of the wall of Leyland cypress, and which might mean pulling that back, even if it's pulling it back to be not the trapezoid shape, but maybe the square shape. That might pull it back far enough. I don't know for sure, but it would pulling it back to that 50 foot off the pavement line, which, as you said, it's 30 something feet there now. So you're almost there. It would give you a bit more buffer and a bit less of a Leyland cypress frontage, which is kind of a hedge frontage out in the woods, and allow you some more space for native plants, the native pines and oaks to start growing there, and look a bit more natural. And it would pull the fence, the attention on the fence of the gate. I'm sorry, that gate away from people driving by. So it's not really part of the streetscape at that point. It's more set back in the landscape, which would be much more discreet. And
just to be clear, Chip, and I think your idea was more, achievable in the short term, which was to, if I may, I know we're not designing it, but what you're suggesting is to cut down the fence from here, the backyard, the front yard, all the way to here, to 6 feet, and have the gates conform to that size as well. Gate, pillars, everything. Nothing above 6 feet.
Yeah.
If we were to achieve that,
That's the code. And then if
that
you
would be
ran
okay.
Yeah, and if you don't think that's enough, run a parallel fence 5 feet in from this fence, because they're not going to get into that sluice way.
Wait a minute. I just want to correct. When you say it's to code, it's allow, we can permit it. Doesn't mean that it conforms to code. You still need approval.
Yeah. You have to come back.
You'd
have to come back and show us. Yeah.
You still got to come back to us.
Yeah.
I can certainly get that done. We can take a look at the plan, see what's cost effective for us, and we can.
I mean, I think that overall, we look for harmony.
I
And I
understand.
think driving through the woods, you don't expect to see a wrought iron gate that you might see in Old Westbury, Long Island, out in the woods. And I understand you bought it and it came from Amazon and all that, but I only know of one other gate that looks like this, and it's in East Hampton Village, which we have no jurisdiction over by the Route 114 circle. And I always look at this gate and go, how did it get here? But it got here.
Needless to say, it was not my first choice.
But it was an emergency.
I assure you
Okay,
of that.
okay.
This is not my style. It was not my first choice. Does not go with the aesthetic of the house either.
Okay, so good.
So,
May I say something before you do any
Please,
work?
please.
Have your survey updated, have it show 6 feet. So when we do approve this, we know exactly where the gate is going, we know exactly where the.
So before
Then
doing
we
any,
would approve that or not approve that.
got it. So
Waste more money.
yeah, I mean, if
Got
if you can ask the surveyor to put on the survey that if you're moving that gate, there should be a dimension off the edge of the pavement.
Proposed gate, yeah.
Yeah, that would help us from having to traipse out there with a very long measuring tape and check it ourselves, which is not as accurate as a surveyor.
thank you, Julia. I think we are going to put everything in a rendering, put it in a package, then bring it to the attention of the board, get the approval, and then move forward with any work.
Yes.
To go on my
I think that's-
vacation and before, so.
Yeah, I think that would be fine.
Okay, thank you very much.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Still under fences, walls, gates, and berms. This is Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-159-4-45.1. This is 1 Hedgerow Lane in East Hampton. And Frank, this is yours.
Okay, this is a new application for an as-built fence on Hedgerow Lane, just north of East Hampton Village, on a relatively quiet side street in a residential neighborhood. This is a very deep property with a house sitting far back from the street. The as-built gate being considered is set back considerably from the road, though still visible with a straight driveway on flat ground. The operable gate panels measure approximately 6 feet, while the gate posts I measured about 6 feet 4 or a little bit over. As a bit of background, it should be noted that in May of 2013, this applicant did apply for and received approval for a 6-foot high gate and fencing on the property. This is noted in the resolution. However, in October of that year, the chairman of the ARB wrote to the applicant stating that the work was not in compliance with the resolution, thus the application was not ready for the issuance of a certificate of occupancy. That resolution expired in 2016, so this is a new application. So it's up to this board to decide whether to approve this as-built gate, to deny it, or to request it be modified. I also want to alert the applicant that there are several fences on this property that are not in compliance with the town code zoning. It would need this board's approval. And also, let's just go through the photos here, Will. So
the gate is 70,
so the gate is 71,
that's.
I measured,
6
so
feet, yeah.
5 feet 11. The pillars are, that's 6 feet 4 to 6 feet 5, 77 inches, 6 feet 5. Keep going. Actually, did you see, you showed the first one, right?
Yes.
Okay, so on the left side, you'll see there's a fencing in line with what was approved in 2013, but never got the CO, was called out to be 6 feet. This one measured about, in the snow, about 7 feet 2. Keep going. And then to the right, there is this pedestrian gate and fencing that is over 8 feet. So that's in line with what was approved, but exceeds what was approved in the 2013 resolution. Keep going. A little hard to see on the left side. There's some fencing that actually doesn't appear in the, it's sort of a ring around some trees. It doesn't appear in the survey. It was presumably put there during the winter. So just a note about the survey. Let's go to the survey. So there is some also of note. Let's zoom in on the very rear there. There's a scenic easement around the back in which there's fencing installed. This was never approved or never part of a resolution. So you can't have fencing in the scenic easement. So that would never be even approved by us. We can't approve it.
The building department wouldn't approve it either.
Right. And so
So
we're not reviewing that, but most likely, we can go through this process, and if it gets approved, we can inspect it for a CO, send it to the building department, but the building department's going to go out there and say, you've got all this fencing that's got to be either approved or brought into compliance, or both. And there's also stuff like there's fencing on both side yards that's outside of the property line. So there would be, again, we can proceed with a gate. We're going to do that today, but it's going to complicate things unless it's removed. So, you want to introduce yourself and say?
Sure. Joseph Sabellis from the Benincasa Group for the applicant, 860 Montauk Highway, Watermill, New York, 11976. So as was said, the gate was approved in 2013 from the ARB. At that time, there was other construction going on the property, and one of the constructions that was going on was not approved by the building department. There was some back and forth, and the CO wouldn't be issued for the other structure. That was disputed with the town. Went to litigation. That was recently resolved. That's been moved past. And now, during that time, no certificate of occupancies or building permits were issued. Everything was on hold. So now we just moved past that step, and now we're back to getting the certificate of occupancy. This is one of the first steps in getting back on the right track.
Let me just look at the survey. I don't think it says how far it is from the pavement.
It's far, though.
It's so far away.
114
Right.
feet, something like that.
So, the gate itself wouldn't need ARB approval because it's at least 50 feet from the pavement. So what we were just talking about. So it's really the only thing that's out of conformance here is the posts.
I don't know what the zoning here is and therefore what the front yard's setback is, but I think, Alex, you emailed that to us.
It's 70 feet.
70 feet. So if that's 140 feet back, then these are just structures.
Yeah.
Even that 8-foot pedestrian gate is just a structure. It's not saying, it's nothing that we,
Oh, it's in the accessory setback, you're saying?
yeah.
Okay.
It's well beyond the accessory setback for the front yard, so
Right.
it's like an accessory structure. So, in that sense, are they going to hit you with the pyramid law? I don't know. That's a building department thing.
Yeah.
But it's not. I don't think any of this really has much on that gate and that pedestrian gate to the right of it. I don't think that has much to do with us, and that even that tall fence back there is not in the front yard, so to speak. Because it's not, it's going to be treated as a structure by the building department.
So in terms of the gate, I mean, I think we should just like pull the board. I'm fine with the gate. It's so far back from the street,
Yeah.
like 4 inches to me, it seems inconsequential on this,
And leave the posts?
and leave the post, but that's me.
And I
Doesn't
don't,
bother me.
and I'm not sure we even have anything to do with it being that far back, unless this is an agricultural overlay property. But
Well, nonetheless, it is a gate over 6 feet. So it does technically, if it's over 6 feet, requires our approval. It's
Even
not
that-
technically an accessory structure. We can talk
I don't
about
know
it,
if that's isn't there a rule about how far back from the property line?
You can have 6 feet, right? Without ARB approval, anything above 6 feet, you need ARB approval.
even if it's like
Ah.
300 feet back, like against your front door. If it's a gate, it's just, that's what
So we can approve this.
it's a structure, but it's also a gate to type.
Well, that's a later thing. I'm not thrilled with the pedestrian gate. I mean, you have such a nice setup here. Why would you put a gate like that there?
Oh, he did.
I mean, why did your client put a gate like that there?
I think because it's a far walk from this gate all the way to the house. So I think if you're walking, you don't have a clicker for the
Oh,
garage.
no, but why, the gate is so I mean, the farm gate, the driveway gate's kind of attractive. It fits in, it reflects East Hampton's sort of heritage. And then this sort of tennis gate to the right of it is sort of just a little bit out of whack.
Oh, the contrast.
Yeah.
Oh, to your point, Chris, about the accessory setback doesn't mean that it conforms to the side yard accessory setback.
It's true.
So,
I mean, this
and
is,
there is also, I think there's a cattle gate there, so.
Yeah.
so
There
you
is,
gotta walk
yeah,
around
there's-
it. So,
oh, so that keeps the deer from, so that's
So-
maybe why that gate is higher. you know?
Yeah.
I mean, this gate is the least of your problems, given all the fencing in the back, so
Yeah, well, this is the first step in
doing that.
procuring the certificate of occupancy. So this is, we're just seeking the reapproval for this gate so we can get the permit. And this, we went through this once before, so we're just restarting the process now that everything's been settled with the.
So the posts are 7 inches?
4 inches.
4 inches, so that could be a builder's allowance. I mean, Claire, what do you think?
I'm fine with the gate. I don't really like the pedestrian gate, but.
I mean, we're not reviewing it. So that's for another
Okay,
day.
so I'm
So
fine
all
with the-
we're doing
with
is,
the gate.
I'm just letting the applicant know that
Got
this
other
is
problems.
a messy soup. So,
So-
I'm fine like approving a 6-foot gate with a 6'4" post. I don't have a problem with that.
Diane,
Well, that
in this
particular,
situation.
and that particular gate.
For this application, right?
Chris,
Yeah, I'm not worried about this with it being so far back. I mean, this is deceptive. It's
It looks rural. It
over
looks-
100 feet back, and you're
It's nice. I mean, tasteful.
it's a rural kind of agricultural feel.
Alex, are you okay with this?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so why don't we just deal with the driveway gate?
So I'm going to make a motion. Okay. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the gate as built with a 6-foot high gate and 6'4" post.
Second,
I'll second.
Chris, all in favor?
Aye.
So passed.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you for your time.
thank you.
It's a lot of, there's a lot of complications because pyramid laws do apply.
To those gates, yeah.
Yeah,
Building
that's a
department.
building department thing. It's not us.
Okay, still under fences, gates, walls, and berms. This is Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-172-5-25.1. This is 472 Further Lane, East Hampton. This is Frank, and Clara is recusing herself.
Okay. This is an application for fencing, gates, and walls at a residential lot at the corner of Further Lane and Indian Wells Highway in Amagansett. I think we're all pretty familiar with this intersection. This lot does not sit within or is adjacent to an agricultural overlay, but the fence, gates, and walls do exceed the maximum allowable, or most of them, per the town zoning, thus requires our approval. This is a 2.5 acre lot on a very visible corner in Amagansett. There's a new house currently under construction there. The property has 2 front yards on Further Lane and Indian Wells Highway. The orientation of the new house, we'll get to that, the survey, and its accessory structures is that there's a tennis court on the, let's just go through the photos first and then we can go through the site plan. So that's in its current state. I think many of you probably have driven by there. So that's seen from the northeast corner. Keep going. That's looking to Further Lane. It's a job site, right? That's looking coming from Indian Wells Beach up Indian Wells Highway. Keep going. There is a gate there, a construction gate, which I believe should be in the same location as what's being proposed, but we can talk about that. Keep going. That's that area looking north. And I apologize, it means job site. It's kind of hard to get your bearings on this. Keep going. Oh. I tell you what, go to the site plan. We can go back to the renderings, but I want to go to the landscape site plan. Okay.
That was nice.
If you could zoom in on it a little bit. Okay. Okay, the orientation of the new house and its accessory structures is that there's a tennis court on the northeast side of the property at the closest to the intersection of Further Lane and Indian Wells, which is the most visible corner. The pool is on the south side of the lot, at the very bottom, underneath that ellipse, and on the Indian Wells side highway. There are 2 driveways on the property proposed, which are essentially the same as what the lot is currently and prior to construction. The main entrance to the house is at top left on Further Lane, and a secondary entrance to the pool house area is at the Indian Wells Highway side. The house is well set back from the front, both front yards, particularly on Further Lane. We'll zoom in and you'll see basically the principal structure is right about where the tennis court, top of the tennis court is. So it's very well set back. So there's a lot to go through here. And I'm going to do my best to explain it, but I think the applicant hopefully doesn't have to correct me. So let's start. Okay, first, the applicant is proposing a 6-foot high deer fencing along basically the perimeter of the entire property, with the exception of a spot on the west side facing the neighbor where they're proposing an 8-foot high deer fencing. At the Further Lane entrance, there would be a cattle grate interrupting the fencing, but no gate there. So zoom up to the Further Lane. So there's a cattle grate, but no gate itself, just fencing flanking it. There is now underneath it, what you're looking at, and we can look at the elevations here, is this is a Corten steel wall, which is a sort of beautiful, it's basically like steel plate that Richard Serra, if you're familiar with his work, is Corten steel, a lot of it. It develops this beautiful sort of oxidation tint to it. So the gate, that dark line represents a Corten steel wall and gate. The ground isn't even, I mean, the whole site slopes, but the top of that is level. And then if you go to the right, there's a proposed concrete wall running around the tennis court. And that's a board form concrete wall. And then to the right of that, there is that deer fencing, which runs basically just off of the concrete wall to the fencing, perimeter deer fencing along Indian Wells Highway. Can we go down? And actually zoom in, Will, this is important about the principal and accessory setbacks here. So the further line out there is the principal setback, which one could theoretically build a house up to that line. Inset from that is the accessory structure line. So if you can scroll down south. Okay, so there's that concrete wall kind of jogs out from the tennis court. Actually, just go up a little bit. So that concrete board form wall kind of jogs out toward a few feet, presumably for pedestrian entrance in the tennis court, and then continues south, and then keep going down. There is another concrete wall, which is so the tennis court concrete wall would be exposed as designed, so it would be visible, like if you could see through the hedges in the winter. This concrete wall here is kind of freestanding, doesn't really wrap anything. There is a hedge to the right of it being proposed. Keep going, and then there's fencing. You see, it almost looks like stitching. My understanding, there's fencing there, and you can see all the fencing, and it's kind of different kind of fencing. So above and around the parking area. I guess that's an herb garden. Right? Those are plantings?
Yes.
Planters? Okay.
That's correct.
So that would be wire fencing. To the left of it, which the line work kind of looks like stitching, we'll get to this, is a wood wall where the top of it is level and the grade kind of dips down and then back up. And there's a pedestrian gate. Scroll down a little more. There's a pedestrian gate in that wall that will take you into that garden area, sort of the pool spa area. And to the right there, so the further lane entrance side doesn't have a gate on the street. The Indian Wells Highway side is proposing a 6-foot high wire mesh gate in keeping with the proposed wire mesh fencing. Let's go down and see if there's anything more to review. I think hopefully that captures it. Okay. I want to say one thing. I want to review something about these walls and the landscape plan. Actually, let's go to the elevations. You kind of have to jump back and forth with the elevations, but I want to go to the tennis court concrete wall and the second elevation down. There you go. And then just to the right. So there's a tennis court. This is from further lane. There's a tennis court beyond it. So you can see the grade sloping away. And the Corten wall is to the right. So what I would say is, for the most part, the concrete and Corten walls being proposed here are within the building's principal envelope, if not the accessory structure envelope. So theoretically, someone could build a house within it. The proposed wall around the tennis court I just said this, sorry. The concrete wall on the Indian Wells Highway side is within the principal setback line. But as I reviewed and planned, there is a point where it does go outside of the accessory setback line. So this came up a little bit, Chris kind of alluded to this in our last application, is in a way, I mean, I think like they're asking for approval of this wall or fence, whatever means really not structurally like a fence, right? I mean, it has a real foundation. I consider it more like a building structure. And it does sit within the accessory structure line, at least on the further lane side. So I think I've said enough. If you'd like to introduce yourself and explain more about the project.
Sure, happy to. Steve Naroda with Aris Design, Landscape Architects. I'm here representing the applicant with a team we have some people on call as well, if need be. That was really well summarized, and there's a lot of layers to it, to the project. Two corrections or just adding to it. As far as that concrete board form wall along the tennis court, that would have a 8-foot height hedge running.
It would be screened.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And it would wrap the north and east sides of.
Okay, it would be screened. Okay.
Yeah. And the part that does extend off to the east toward Indian Wells would be just that wire mesh fencing that would continue. The wall wouldn't continue.
Why are you screening and you're paying all this money? Just curious, you're paying all this money for a board form concrete wall.
That good question. Yeah.
And you're screening it.
And also an important thing about this landscape design is really creating this greensward around the property. It's about 60 feet deep from the property line. It's going to be planted pretty heavily with trees, shrubs, and ground covers. So we're creating like a green belt that wraps around the north and east. And then the landscape gets more and more refined as you're into the site.
Okay.
What's the point of the concrete wall then?
It's partly the grading. We're creating on the tennis court side. It's a little bit lower. It's more usable, accessible for the residents. And then as the grade slopes away, we're creating that wall, partly to create the barrier, the sound attenuation, and just to have a hard structure there you can bounce the ball off of.
The sound from further lane or the sound from the tennis players?
Well, I mean, it'd be a little bit of both, really. That corner is pretty loud, so that there is concern there for sound attenuation. So it's a privacy thing, because like Frank mentioned, the way the slope of the land occurs, that tennis court's sitting flat there, and then it goes up a little further where we're coming in on that entry drive from further lane. That's sort of like the higher point of the property. Yes. Sloping back toward the east toward Indian Wells.
So you won't be able to see any of this because it's all going to be highly vegetated?
Yes.
Unless someone buys the property and says,
cuts
I really
it all
like
down.
the wall.
Yeah, right, yeah, okay.
Can you walk through some of the heights of what these walls are, like the height on the right, where it starts and then it slopes down, and how much is exposed? And maybe we could start at the core tent and just kind of work our way from right to left.
Sure. So the core 10.
Will, can you? Yeah, okay.
It varies because of the terrain. So on the right side, it's about 2.5 feet tall. At
the property line.
At the property line,
right.
that far right side. And then you keep a flat line going across the gate. When you reach the gate is about 5'6" high.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you continue to the left, it gets to be about 8 feet. Let me just double check my notes there.
Right. So it steps down and it starts at, it looks like about 2.5 feet.
Right.
And it goes to I think about 8 feet.
So is that a fence? Is it set in the ground like a foundation?
I mean, there is presumably a very significant foundation to that concrete. How thick is the wall? 10 inches or so?
Approximately, yeah.
Yeah. It's a structure. Okay, so if you can just pan, Will, to the left. So Indian Wells Highway, seen from further lane again. Indian Wells Highway is on the left. The ground is sloping towards Indian Wells Highway, and then it's exposed. One thing I was curious about as a plan is why would you want a fence running from that corner to we'd have to go back to the plan for this, but
keep the deer up.
Well, no, there's already.
It is because of the vehicular on the entrance from further lane.
You don't have a gate.
We don't have a gate at the street. So the deer could access that whole greensward that we're talking about. So that's where that protection comes in, where that fence extends off towards.
Okay, I don't trust deer gates, deer grates or cattle grates as much as I used to. With the deer seem to be getting into.
They're pretty smart, yeah.
Okay, let's go down, scroll down. So yeah, you've got this concrete wall. Let's go to actually back to the elevation and let's talk about this side. Because I want to make sure the board fully understands what's being proposed here. Because I think they are beautiful materials and it's a beautiful design, but there's a lot going on. I just want to make sure everyone knows. So so the next, whatever elevation shows the Indian Wells side, keep going down.
This is it, right?
No. That is from Indian Wells Highway. So you've got a 6-foot high deer fencing with a 6-foot high deer fence gate, like similar structured gate. That is set in back of the hedge, correct?
Yes.
So there's a hedge between the fence and gate and the street. Well,
It's all existing hedge, right?
It's a 14-foot existing hedge
right.
that we're renovating right now.
And it's a privet hedge, right?
Privet hedge, right.
So, okay, let's go to this. I want to see this elevation. Keep going down. We're at one down, right beneath it. Okay. This is if you want to explain this, my understanding, this is a wooden gate, so there'd be vertical wooden, what is it, cedar or?
Yeah, we haven't determined it might be Ipe or cedar.
Okay,
We're still
but
working on that.
going to weather naturally gray out. So it starts at the left at basically the south property line at what, around 4 or 5 feet?
Is this from Indian Wells Highway?
That's from Indian Wells Highway. So if the parking is right in front of that gate there, pedestrian gate.
This is a solid wall too.
So this is a solid wall.
It's set 50 feet in from the edge of pavement.
Right.
And the maximum height is 7'6", where that high point is there, where we're seeing at the gate location.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that considered a front?
And part of the concern there is the sound attenuation and security. Because where the house sits on the topographically, that's kind of the higher point of the property.
Okay, we'll get to that. Can we scroll to the right? And so there is another concrete wall which I'd walk. This is from Indian Wells Highway, like set back from the street, on the backside of this green belt, we're calling it. So there's a hedge in front of that concrete wall. And then there would be hedging, and then to the right of that would be the tennis court wall somewhere in back of a hedge.
It seems like that wall comes right out, that offset wall is right up to the end of.
How tall is that on the left side of that concrete wall, even though it's in back of the privet?
That
hedge
wall is 8-foot height.
Yeah.
That's the one, if we look at plan, that's set within the accessory setback. That's an 8-foot high wall there, concrete.
Okay, hang on.
So it's not a fence, it's an accessory structure.
Hang on.
Well, yeah, it's a freestanding wall to create a divide.
Right, so it's 22. It's actually 9.5 feet above existing grade. That's what that shows, because so existing grade there at 22, top of wall 31.5. So that would be 9.5 feet above existing grade, and there's going to be a little excavation there to the driveway. Is that right? Can you zoom in, Will?
22.
So that's 9.5 feet above existing grade, and you can see it dashed there. I mean, here's how letting the board count how I feel about it. I'm fine with I think the Core 10 wall is very tasteful. It's quite nice. I'm fine with the further lane elevation, and I'm fine with the tennis court, even though it's sort of exposed. It's within both principal and accessory structure setbacks. And I mean, for us to say, I don't know about it, it's like you could have a house there.
Yeah, sure.
You know?
Much bigger, yeah.
The issue I have a little more is with the Indian Wells side, where some walls venture beyond the setback lines towards the street, in which we're talking about these as like architectural structures which are going outside of their building envelopes. Can we go to the
You're looking around the ones that are attached to the tennis court?
well, both. Can we go to the plan? So scroll down. So you see the tennis court entrance, how it
jogs
out. I mean, it is within the principal setback. I'll give it that. And then keep going down. That one is just kind of straddling the accessory structure a little bit out of it. And then keep going down. To me, the wood wall I get its purpose, and I think it'd be a beautiful wall. My issue is, so on Indian Wells Highway, there are stockade fences, like pretty close to the street, but there's a hedge, there's a buffer of a hedge between that wall and the street. And so on that street, I didn't see an instance of like, equivalent, what it is, I mean, I hate to say this, but kind of, it's sort of like a really beautiful stockade fence, right? I don't see any precedent along that street where there's an exposed wood wall like that so close to the street. So my questions would be, one, could you achieve what the client wants without exposing that wood wall? Or just not having it? I understand the acoustic need for it, but that's just that's my comment about it. In terms of the gate, given that it's 6 feet, I'm curious how the board feels about that. But it is pretty much a very discreet kind of fence. So,
Also conceptual.
I'd be curious to hear what the
I think
board
the
has
wood
to say
wall
about
seems
this
a
stuff.
little bit like I think of prisons. I mean, it's like you're enclosing this and enclosing this and enclosing this. The other stuff where the vegetation and the steel and not so much an issue, but that wall feels very urban. I mean, it feels like you're going to scale it and find something on the other side. I'm not in favor of that wall.
You're referring to the wood wall?
Yeah.
I think
it's pretty in your face.
I think it's beautiful. I just think as it's like sort of how it's sited, I mean, a lot of these houses are very open on Indian Wells Highway. Mm-hmm. You drive down there, they're very far side, it's very open in the front. And I realize also I do understand the unique nature of this property being like highly trafficked and visible. Yeah. So, and the need for privacy. And it does seem like you are providing that with the hedging around it. It's just the visibility of that wall, 50 feet doesn't seem to me that far back from the street to be exposed like that.
Certainly discussed with our client. Would you be open to having the hedge in front of it and it's set back?
I think if you moved it, I think you would probably want to keep that driveway, that parking area the same dimension. Mm-hmm. So you'd move that, 3 feet back to be probably between 2 rows of hedges, right? So it becomes an acoustic fence. Yeah. I would be fine. I'd be fine with that because there's stockade fences there's a stockade fence across the street that's right near the property line, but it's got a buffer of a hedge.
It's 2 feet above what's required for the pool fence, because there is going to be a pool fence. That's the de facto pool fence right there. So
Right,
it's going to be, you know, they have a right to put a 4-foot fence there. So then that fence engages the perimeter deer fencing, right? It goes up and around, and then it attaches to the garage. Just fencing that attaches to the garage as pool enclosure, right?
Right.
And what kind of pool enclosure exists to keep somebody from walking through that outdoor kitchen area between the garage and the house, that little breezeway area?
That would be alarm doors. That's an interior space.
The one that's
Yeah.
there?
Yes.
Okay, because they're showing, yeah, it's all showing doors.
Is that correct?
Doors from the garage to the house that go into that. It looks like an open air breezeway.
Hi, I'm Catherine Deline Weil from Bates Massey Architects. I'm the architect working on the project, but just here for any questions that may pop up. Can I point to this?
Sure.
There is an embedded pool fence that runs through this hedge.
Perfect.
It's just not very clear
Okay.
on that drawing. And so basically the line for protecting the whole back property for the pool, it runs right here, around here to the house. The house will have alarm doors, and then it picks back up here and then traces around.
And so it's 6 foot at the far end by the garage. It's 6 foot where the ground drops down to the lower level access, and it's 6 foot along the secondary courtyard off Indian Wells. That
It's a little taller up at Indian Wells, just because of the grade change. I guess the other question is, would you be okay with the fence, as Steve mentioned? We'll have to talk with the other landscape architect that's involved and the client. One suggestion was to flip the fence on the other side of the hedge so that you're really reading the hedge from the parking lot side. The other question is looking at the height of it across. If it lowers, would the client be okay with that? I guess that's the other suggestion.
The height of which wall we're talking about?
The Indian Wells side.
Well, but there's a big slope, so I just want to make sure
You'd have to
the top left isn't
the
2
4
feet.
foot. Yeah.
And you want to architecturally, well, now that we're talking about it not being an architectural wall, is it just being an acoustic wall? Right? Then it doesn't really need to be, I guess you'd want to have a hedge level, but you're going to need the left side of that, the southernmost edge of that fence is going to have to be at least 4 feet tall.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's going to if it's going to be level, it's going to get taller because of the slope.
Right.
Will, if you go to the plans view, the last file in the set, there are some renderings. There's a rendering of that wire mesh gate as seen from Indian Wells looking through to the wood wall.
Right there.
No, it's in the next one down. This is all existing. There you go, the bottom one.
Bottom left.
So that's the 14-foot hedge, pedestrian gate, the sliding wire mesh gate, and that 7.5-foot maximum wood wall and gate beyond. Right? So
That's right.
Yeah.
so that's what we're seeing of this from further away,
Yeah.
from Indian Wells.
Indian Wells. Can we look at those other renderings to get more of a sense of the?
That's further lane.
Uh-huh.
And I also want to, it's, as we know, the hedge is going to be green for most of the year, but there's going to be a period during the year in which the hedge will be bare.
Yeah. This hedge on further is osmanthus. It'll be an evergreen.
Oh,
But we've planted that array. It's a 6-foot height osmanthus.
Oh, it's not privet.
No, that's not privet.
It's like a holly.
Indian Wells was an existing hedge. That's the privet. We kept that and we're rejuvenating it. Got it. Because it's pretty healthy otherwise. But the hedging along further, we did osmanthus, the evergreen. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
but the hedge, on Indian Wells. So so this time of year, you would see through to that proposed wooden wall.
Would be visible, yeah.
just seems very urban. I mean, when you look through that clear gate and you see that wall, it feels more like you're in a courtyard that's not here, but somewhere else, like.
Well, I mean, what is the elevation of that gate right there? I mean, it only gets to be tall.
6 feet?
6-foot gate.
Now, at the opening of the Corten wall,
Oh,
it's only four feet.
well, no, but this is Indian Wells.
No, I'm not talking about, right. You were talking about the further lane entrance.
No, I'm talking about here.
Oh, okay.
You're talking about this.
Yeah, it seems like a service area that you're going to see. It seems like it's almost industrial in there.
I think it's just an opinion. The wood itself, the material choice would help soften that. It's not going to be, that's where we're not using concrete.
Right. Could it be shorter? Does that?
Potentially. So the thing we would have to go back and just review is the sound attenuation factor with Indian Wells up to the use area around the pool. We're really trying to flex some sound there as much as we can.
Okay.
So that's the elevation. And
Yeah.
It very left, it's right now being proposed starting at 5 feet.
Yep.
So, I mean, you could, by code, you could lower it a foot, but not anymore.
Yeah.
What's interesting though, if you want to look at it in a different perspective, is that you could be looking through that gated house that's 2 stories high.
Right.
I mean, we're looking at a wooden wall, which is,
Actually, that wooden wall is not within the setbacks.
That wooden wall, that's right. That wooden wall's not, that's 50 feet off the edge of pavement.
Right.
Yeah.
so yeah, you go a few feet back and you could have a 25, 30 foot wall facing you. So it's
certainly a vigorous growing hedge. Looks like it's something out of a
Wrigley Field.
jungle. Okay, we should move on.
Right. So how does everyone, we've talked about the wood wall and how do people feel about that? I think this feeling that may want to be screened.
Yeah, it'd be great if it was vegetation and then this wood wall was behind it. Vegetation dies, but I think it would soften it up a lot.
So aside from that, does anyone have any comments, issues with what else is being proposed?
No, I like the further lane side. There's no gate. Further lane gets gated a lot, so it's kind of open. That's a clever way to do that. And if it's going to be so highly vegetated, I mean, you won't see those walls on further lane. It's unlikely all the vegetation dies at some point, but some of it dies. But
hopefully not.
It's a 10-acre lot, right?
2.5 acres.
Oh, it's 2.5
Yes.
acres.
Yeah.
It seems much bigger.
It feels bigger, yeah.
It feels bigger.
Just curious, why is there a stretch of 8-foot deer fencing on
On the
neighbor
back,
side,
the
yeah.
back.
the
neighbor side.
neighbors? Why is that needed?
We just felt if it's allowable by code, we would use it just for extra protection from the deer.
Is it behind the front facade of the house?
Yes.
Oh.
I mean,
Is there a rendering that shows, I mean, that it's a very familiar corner, that nice
Oh, that's good.
incline, that nice,
That's the best picture
That's that
we've seen.
corner.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's the best picture we've seen.
Okay, so it's,
Oh, there's going to be a large right of way. I mean, all grass. Is that the real right of way, or is
Yeah,
that,
that's the right of way.
that's the real right
Yeah,
of
so
way?
where you see that's the osmanthus, the lower hedge.
Yeah.
That's our property line.
So it's going to be open to some degree.
And then behind it, you have that green belt of plantings.
Is it flat like that? It's
so
not.
you don't see the house at all? I mean, because you used to,
Get a little bit-
the old brown
Ideally.
house used to be so prominent.
back over where the driveway is, it starts to berm up more than at
That's
the
a low point
intersection.
in Property here.
Yes. Yeah.
nobody wants to be seen from that corner, their house, right?
Yeah.
Everybody wants privacy from
Yeah.
people
I'm-
driving around there.
I'm concerned that just from a code standpoint, that the jog, which is rendered like the continuation of the board form, the jog out
is in front of the accessory structure, and because it's continuous with the tennis enclosure, the end of that wall and then the L-shaped jog wall both extend beyond the accessory setback. So I don't know how that's handled in terms of a code issue. I don't know. You mentioned that it might be changing from concrete to something else, but it's rendered as continuous with the concrete. So I don't know if the building department wouldn't consider that part of that accessory use of the tennis court, and therefore needing to be behind the setback. I don't know. It's just a code issue.
Okay, so where are we?
We also have the question of the 6-foot wire mesh gate on Indian Wells that we saw in that rendering. Very transparent, but set back 20 feet from the paving, behind the hedges. It's a sliding gate.
Not that one, the other one.
It's
Yeah.
and that's also a wire mesh pedestrian gate next to it that's set into the hedge there, and
That's right. with the
carve out.
pedestrian, yes, yeah, with pedestrian access.
So you're seeing probably about 12 to 14 foot of that width there.
So the question is, would we approve a 6-foot gate on Indian Wells Highway? That's the question, right? Would they consider 5 feet? I mean,
Absolutely. Yeah.
okay, I think that would help, might even help the wall. It wouldn't feel like it's a security zone. It feels now to me like it's a security zone, like, doesn't feel,
It's meant to be more of a service entry.
yeah, I get that,
Yeah.
but you're gonna see it,
Yeah.
because it's right on the street.
The fact that that's actually 7.5, it's 7.5 foot max above, feeling like maybe, in terms of, from my experience, it just seems like keeping, kind of that 6-foot stockade height, which, I hate calling it, as you do, I hate calling it stockade because it's far from it. But just in terms of not, deer not being able to jump over something that they don't like jumping over because they can't see. That seems pretty reasonable if a deer were to get corralled in there for some unfortunate accident.
Yeah, I think that height, sorry to interrupt, I think that height's also driven by the sound attenuation.
Right.
You're talking about the gate, or are you talking about the gate or the fence?
The wall.
I'm talking about the wall.
Oh.
Yeah. And that pool is almost 100 feet off the pavement there. So, yeah, I mean, it's a nice layering to try to get a good sound attenuation happening there, that's for sure.
Okay, so what are our key points here?
Okay, so the key points are, I think you're going to come back to us with a revision. So based on the comments here, I think the board would be more receptive if the following changes were made. One is the wooden walls seen here were screened with vegetation, which would require moving it back a few feet. That's one. I've heard from the board some requests to lower the sliding gate here, be more amenable to something like 5 feet. I believe those are the only changes that we.
And I would just check. I would just check the code in terms of that accessory structure and the extension of that. Yeah, it's not from an aesthetic standpoint, just a pure code.
Sure, thanks. Yeah, we'll take a look at that.
Yep. Okay. That's it. Fair.
And the pedestrian gate is 38.5 feet off of Further Lane, and that's also a wire mesh gate that's behind the hedge.
How tall? 6 feet?
It doesn't say. It just says pedestrian gate.
Yeah, I believe that would match the
driveway gate.
It's in a 6-foot fence line.
Yeah.
So, but there again, it's behind. It's that little pedestrian tunnel behind there. So we're not you're really not seeing it very much. There's no sidewalk there. You're driving past.
There is a sidewalk there.
Not on further lane. It's on,
No,
it's on Indian
on
Wells.
Indian Wells.
This is Indian Wells up here, right?
No, I'm talking about further lane. Next to the cattle grate, there's a pedestrian gate.
Oh, not this picture, another.
No,
Yeah,
but it's similar to that picture.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, it's a very intriguing project.
Okay.
I also just want to make sure the board is okay with, there's this 8-foot high deer fence.
On the neighbor's property.
I mean, that's what the house is next to it. So it would be right
Let me
here.
see that.
Just not, I understand the need for keeping the deer out, but I would be, it's not like that's an agricultural reserve or anything. So I'm just not sure it's needed at 8 feet. I would seem to me if the purpose is to keep deer out, like 6 feet would be sufficient. I think the risk, it would seem to me the risk from the deer is coming from further lane or outside, not from the neighbor who I've seen is very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the village has allowances for, that wire at 8 foot above your 6 foot fence. I don't think the town has any such allowance. I don't know for sure, but
Yeah, we can double check.
yeah, I mean, it's,
But I would say just keep it at 6 feet on that.
I agree. Yeah.
especially with the heavy hedging, they're not going to be, I don't think that 8 foot is going to deter, they're going to be seeing, solid hedge and,
We should look at that. too.
Yeah.
I believe that there is a fence on the neighbor's property, a chain link fence, that may already be 6 feet, so if that's already there,
It's at least 6 feet. I saw it.
they may not need that.
so
I don't think you're gonna need it.
so your hedge is going to buffer the chain link.
Okay,
Okay.
so those 3 items, you can look at it if you need the review of this online, but, so you'll come back to us with revised package and, yeah.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You're a very good representative for your client.
Oh, thank you.
You're very calm.
That's true.
Okay, moving along, agricultural overlay. This is 154 Sayers Path, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-197-6-18, and this is in Waynescott. This is mine. Are you Sarah?
Hi, yes,
Hi there.
Sarah.
So I'm just going to say a few things, then you can chime in, okay? So this is an application to approve several changes to the landscape plan for a new house under construction on the west side of Sayers Path near Waynescott Main Street. We approved the previous house and landscape plans in August of 2024. Overall, the changes proposed by LaGuardia Design Group, the landscape firm, are not significant. They are, number one, moving the approved garage building in the front yard from the left side of the front yard to the right side of the front yard with a new curved driveway that goes up. So the garage was going to be on the left side in front of that wing, and it's going to now be on the right side on the other wing. The garage is not yet built, but the garage itself does not change the structure. Modification of an outdoor kitchen in the back of the property, adding a small generator with plant screenings, roughly generators 2 feet by 4 feet by 2 feet on the side, and relocating the driveway and adding stone walls that are 2 feet and 3 feet high on the property. I find the changes here are very insignificant, and they're just fine tuning what was actually a pretty good plan and making it a little bit better. Sarah, anything I missed?
No, the reason why the garage switched, we were brought on a little bit later in the project after, all the ARB approvals. So we dug deep on the grading. There's quite a significant slope from the roadway down to the house. It's about 3 feet. So the way that the garage was oriented was actually a little bit closer to the street. So it was hard to get the grading to really work and, get positive drainage towards the house and everything like that. So just so the board knows, that's the reason why we moved it the way we did, is to accommodate for
But it
the.
has that nice curved driveway now, which I think
Yeah.
is maybe a little bit better.
Exactly. And the driveway curb cut isn't going to be modified anymore. So it's just
Exactly
the
where it was.
existing, curb cut as.
I like it.
remains.
I like it a lot.
There's a huge tree in the front yard. Is that stay?
Yep, that's staying.
Oh, so if you're keeping that tree, it makes a lot of
bravo.
sense.
Is that part of
We're
the
always
reason for, is
proponents
that
of
part of the
keeping the
reason for the
trees.
retaining wall there?
Yeah, the grading is always kind of the quagmire of getting everything to work out on site. So part of it is getting positive drainage, creating a nice flat level area for parking and keeping the trees intact.
Home run.
I have no issue with it. Clara?
That's great.
Frank?
No issue.
Okay, it's
Thank you so much.
my pleasure. So I'd like to make a motion to approve this application as submitted. May I have a second?
Second.
Diane, all in favor?
Aye.
So passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Moving on to certificate of occupancy. This is Suffolk County Tax Map number, oh, wait, extension of time.
Yeah.
Sorry. This is Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-49-1-13.2. This is 97 Essex Street in Montauk. Diane, this is yours.
Yes, this is a project that the resolution is from, we okayed this in June of 2022, and it seems there's been a funding issue, and nothing has happened. So there are no changes. It's my understanding there are no changes from the new building that we approved. It's a two-story building with retail at the bottom and an apartment on the top. Is there a picture, Will, of the building to refresh everybody's memory or who was still around? So nothing has happened, and the building permit is still pending, and it hasn't been started yet. So they need an extension of time to start the project, and I don't see any reason why we wouldn't grant it.
Agree?
Seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah, very reasonable. Okay.
Okay, so do I
Make a motion.
make a motion to approve this application for an extension of time?
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
So passed. Now, certificate of occupancy inspection, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-28-2-2.1, 52 Fairlawn Drive in Montauk. Chris, this is yours.
Okay, this is an application for C of O inspection for property where the resolution was calling for new gates to be set further back than some existing gates in the two driveway entrances off the street here, and for relocation of some or new fencing to replace existing fencing along the front, which is a wire mesh fencing that's behind the hedges here. The resolution called for 4-foot gates and posts to, and for the gates and posts to be painted green to match the trim of the house. So what we have is, this is about 57 inches on this one gate above the driveway, and 60 inches up, or 59 inches up to the top of the vertical struts. The posts are similar. There's another photo of the posts. The posts were painted green. The gate was left natural, which seems perfectly fine. But the gate is close to a foot higher than the resolution called for. The other issue, if we can go to the survey, and I don't know if you can pull up the old survey and do that split screen as well, so we can see that. You can see where the gates, the swing gates, are pulled back along the driveway now with the fencing, the wire mesh fencing pulling back to meet the fence posts. And the old survey, you zoom into the front area there. The red notes are saying existing 5-foot wire fence to be removed, existing 4.5-foot high gates to be removed, and so then, and you can see that let's see, proposed new 5-foot wire mesh fence. It's right along the property line there, and proposed new 5-foot wooded gates to be 20 feet from the edge of the pavement. So I'm going to have to go back to the resolution, because I was pretty sure that the the resolution on this called for 4 foot, but that may be completely my mistake. ARB resolution. All right. Let's see. Maximum height of 4 feet. So something happened between this survey, the proposed survey, which was says proposed new 5-foot high wooded gates to be 20 feet from the edge of the pavement, which, you know, the gates seem to be conforming to that. But then the actual resolution says 2 wooded driveway gates with maximum height of 4 feet from grade with vertical stabilizers at 4'2", and posts no higher than 5 feet. So, per the plans dated September 8th. So, I don't know if I have the plans in the old file. Let's see.
Laura, you want to come up and explain?
The first I'm learning of this, so.
Yeah, it's 5 foot. Yeah, the plans show 5 foot on to the top of the little pyramidal top to the fence posts, and 4'2" dimension of the gates of the verticals on the gates, but there is a significant gap under. So I just don't know if this is a wording question. In that maybe the wording of the resolution, you know, the actual gate is 4 foot / 4'2", but it's as built, it's and as drawn, it's higher above the grade. I don't know if you can see that's in the resolution. It's in the file, the 1024 agenda.
So should we go by the resolution?
Well, it's look at the if you look at the 1024 agenda, there are 4 files in that folder, and the first one has a view of the gate. You can see that it's pretty significant. It's like 6.5 inches above grade. And 5 feet to the top of the posts, but that looks pretty much like what's there.
Yeah.
But the resolution just is worded with a 4-foot gate, but it doesn't. Yeah, it's just. I wonder if it's just not an awkwardly worded. You know, the discrepancy is just.
It says the gate is what, 4'2"?
At the vertical stabilizers.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a maximum height of 4 foot from grade with vertical stabilizers at 4'2" and posts no higher than 5 foot. So the resolution is really clear, saying 4 foot from grade, but it's very clearly drawn there as a 4'2" fence on those stable vertical struts with 6.5 inch clearance. So we're already at.
Honestly, you could approve it as built.
Yeah.
If it's something like that.
Right.
I mean, it could be incorrect on the resolution.
When was the resolution from?
20.
November 24.
November 1st, 2024.
Oh, that wasn't that long ago.
No, it was Kathy Cunningham.
So we can give a C of O to this. The only other issue is let's look at the survey, the final survey. That's that mesh fence is still off the property. According to the survey, it's mostly down below. There's that little teeny bit below at the very bottom of the page, but then the main part between the 2 driveways just barely grazes over. It's behind hedging. It's on, you know, I don't know. I mean, it's technically
In the right of way.
So I don't know if that's
Can we make a call to the highway department and see if they're okay with it? They sometimes are with these types of slight footprint encroachments.
Alex, what do you?
Forward that to Kevin Cobb, that survey, and ask if
Correct.
he's okay with it.
Correct.
And if you showed him a photo of it, you'd see very clearly that there's privet in front of it. So
Yes, and if he was going to have an objection, he'd probably object to the hedge before he'd object to the location of the fence. But I don't think it's interfering at all with the edge of pavement. So I doubt that he'll have a problem, given my experience with him in the past.
so those are the issues that are in front of us to look at. Personally, I don't care if that gate is wood, natural wood, or green. I kind of like it the way it is. I think between the discrepancy of the drawing, which is accurately portraying what was built, and the resolution, which was a translation of what transpired in a meeting that I wasn't in, I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt, but I don't know how you all feel.
Why don't we get approval from Kevin Cobb? Once we have that, we'll bring it back on. Kevin Cobb's the highway department. He's the one that would say yes or no.
Because then we can make it all in one
Yeah.
swell foop.
Is that okay with you, Chair?
Fine. Oh, sorry.
Does that make sense?
Yes, but I'm not the
Ever
chair.
sensible, Julie.
that's fine with me.
All right, I'll take care of that.
Julie, that's a good one.
All right.
So the issue is we have to verify that these drawings match the resolution perfectly. Because there's a problem here with the drawing and the resolution don't match.
Yeah, I
The
mean,
resolution does reference the drawing,
I know.
so that
Some,
kind of covers us.
So I'm surprised we even got past that. So, but it did, it happened.
right, it says, yeah, I mean, it's very clear maximum height of 4 foot from grade, but it's very clear in the drawing that's referenced in the resolution that, yeah, gate plan prepared by Graft Inc., stamped, received, it's plain as day, it's 4 foot.
it's not going to be a major,
No,
No,
To anybody.
because we're covered by
and I
the-
think the setting back again from the street, you really have to,
and they're nice gates. They're
Yeah.
nice rural gates.
They
so-
cook well at the house.
Okay, so we're good?
I'll get Kevin's opinion
Okay.
and get back to you. Thank you.
That brings us to the end of our meeting.
No, there's one more.
One more.
yes, we have a C of O for naturally good.
Oh, of course.
Do you need to read mine?
Yeah, I don't have that. Oh, okay. So this is naturally good, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-49-4-12, 38 South Etna Avenue in Montauk. Chris, this is yours.
Okay, this is a formality. No work has been done here because we approved this back in December for work that was done years ago on that second floor in the back. This was approved and there's, these are actually the old photos, as you can see. So it's no different. So it's not as if we're having to check their construction to see that it matches the resolution because it was already done. So if there's no objection, I just make a motion to approve this application, or actually, I should be very formal about
They
this.
little birds,
Yes, those are birds on the roof.
nice.
Exactly. I would make a motion to instruct staff to notify the building department that this applicant has satisfied the conditions and substantially conforms to the ARB approval of the resolution dated December 12th, 2025, and a C of O can be issued.
Second.
Second.
Clara, all in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Aye, so passed.
Okay.
This brings us to the end of our meeting. May I have a motion to close this meeting? I'd like to make a motion to close it. Frank, second.
Second?
Diane, all in favor?
Aye.